You unlock this portal with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another relay, a relay of sound, a relay of sight, a relay of mind. You're moving into a dimension of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the SegWit zone. Our story takes place during the Great Wealth Redistribution years. It has been 14 years since the global carry trade unraveled, which resulted in the immediate collapse of the US dollar as a global reserve currency. Most of humanity is still struggling to recalibrate their livelihoods within the societal fallout. Many continue to work hand to mouth, while others, not so lucky, are struggling to put food to mouth. There were, of course, exceptions. In certain areas, referred to as citadels, where affluent Bitcoiners existed and banded together, a semblance of normalcy is being retained. We find Bill the technician and John the mechanic standing next to each other near their parked vehicles. Bill is busying himself with checking over lists and doing reserve inventory counts. John is waking himself up with an occasional sip from his hot coffee and a few puffs from his smoke in hand. A stranger with a young face approaches them on foot. Bill looks up from his list just in time to greet the young man.
"You must be Jose, the new volunteer trainee. We've been expecting you. I'm Bill,"
says Bill while extending his hand to Jose for a shake. Jose returns the gesture.
"You're late, kid,"
says a gruff, unshaven John before he takes another drag. Jose had a look of worry on his face as he glanced at his own watch to double-check the time.
"And that's John. Don't mind him, you're not late. We just like to start early, especially for new site installs."
Yeah. Let's get moving already,"
said John as he impatiently starts walking in a specific direction.
"Where are we headed?"
asked Jose as he follows John and Bill in the same direction.
"We're about a block away from the new site. In fact, FC is already there reconfirming our approved entrance with the community leaders."
"What's FC? I thought this job was for us to install electrical equipment?"
asked Jose with a puzzled look.
Let me guess. HR didn't tell you jack about the job. Why am I not surprised, Bill? I'm guessing this wasn't your first choice for a co-op job. Was it, kid?
With a shimmer of embarrassment, Jose averts his eyes away from John's gaze.
"Don't mind John. He's getting the new site jitters as he always does. To answer your question, FC stands for First Contact. The Foundation usually sends the team out to explain intentions, provide offerings, establish guidelines. Assuming the community leaders show interest, of course, then we come into the picture. And yes, we are installing electric equipment. But to be more precise, we're installing a mining container, electric generators, and a battery wall. The equipment has already been drop-shipped. We're really just there to connect them and conduct diagnostics."
You sure make it sound fancy, Bill. Kid, the truth is, we're installing a bunch of bicycles that produce electricity, which in turn is used to power the mining equipment. The battery is just there for excess energy. I just hope we don't run into any trouble this time around. I still remember the last site install we did that turned ugly.
"Wait, what do you mean by ugly? Are we in danger?"
asked Jose with a bit of apprehension in his voice.
To be honest, there is the potential for danger at any of these sites. It all comes down to how accepting the community is towards what is being offered and how much communication their leaders provided them ahead of time.
Don't sugarcoat it for the kid. He's here to learn. Look, kid, there's always danger. It's not like the Foundation provides armed guards to protect us. As HR says, that would give the wrong impression. We're doing this as a form of goodwill, but as Bill puts it, these communities that are made up of the homeless, the mentally unstable, the impoverished, the drug-addicted, societal outcasts, and oftentimes a combination of the above. They aren't always going to be welcoming us with open arms. I mean, what do you expect when the old world continued to turn to shit? 2% inflation per year is normal, they said, while millions were printed just to be given away to other countries in need. What about our own country? Don't we have needs? Sure, let's open the doors to more immigrants with little to no screening. They can do all the jobs we don't want, right? Well, turns out they have needs too. And how exactly do we solve that? Print more money? The rest of society turned a blind eye to the same people who needed help the most. The people that were once their neighbors, their friends, their loved ones. I mean, what was anyone thinking? Does it look like people in poverty would somehow solve their problems themselves, or better yet, simply disappear? But that's the thing, kid. Society loves turning a blind eye to problems. Out of sight, out of mind. Don't like those tented encampments springing up in your park? Just send in the police to push them somewhere else so no one can see them. Problem solved, right? Build them social housing so that they can stay out of sight, right? How does any of that address their core issues?
Glad you're finally awake. You want to give Jose your worldview of what the Foundation is too?
Smirked Bill.
Why the hell not? The kid got me started, and I might as well finish it. The Foundation, or what you know as the Bitcoin for Humanity Foundation, was started by a bunch of Bitcoiners. Rumor has it the concept was actually introduced to the wider audience on Netflix, ages ago. What was it called again? Black Deer or something.
Black Mirror. Have you ever watched that, Jose?
Jose shakes his head as John continues to mansplain.
Right. Anyways, there was this one episode where the main character has to ride a bicycle to produce electricity in exchange for points or something. Long story short, it was a way for regular folks to make their lives useful. Who would have thought a bunch of Bitcoiners would turn that into a reality? So here we are, headed to a new site to put in bicycles so that the community can pedal their way to economic freedom,
said John as the entrance into the encampment came into sight.
I don't think that was the moral of that particular episode, John.
You're telling me this community is going to peddle these electric generators to produce enough electricity to power the mining rigs, which in turn mine for Bitcoin? Is that even realistic? A normal human being can probably produce about 100 watts of energy per day. Normal as in relatively decent shape, not malnourished or sick. Also, doesn't the mining rig need a lot more energy than that to run?
Looks like the kid's awake too. What are you studying in school, kid?
Electrical engineering.
That's why we have the battery wall. Since you study EE, you're already aware that advancements in energy storage has reduced the daily loss from 1% to 0.1%. No easy feat. This allows for gaps in energy collection, something that occurs often during early community adoption. Also helps with over-energy production, though that's rare. On top of that, with the Japanese, Taiwanese, and Germans jumping into ASIC chip manufacturing in the last few years, this has produced significantly cheaper mining rigs with increased efficiency, though for the time being, China still seems to have the upper hand. As for incentive, that's where the care package comes in. As part of FC's olive branch, they provide the community with a package of essentials: portable toilets and showers, medical aids and light treatments, food and water, enough to give the community a fighting chance. As the participants work their way towards earning sats, they can use their sats to purchase additional essentials through the Foundation at base cost to further their lives. All of which come from humanitarian sponsors and donors, a lot of them being Bitcoiners. It's a system that pays for itself while allowing the community to progress and become self-sufficient.
What kind of success rate are we even talking about, though?
It all depends on the community. The Bitcoin maxis are all about proof of work. The Foundation believes that ultimately the community, whether as a whole or as individuals, will have to consciously work to pull themselves out of poverty. I'll admit, it doesn't work for everyone, and it's definitely a long game. At a minimum, the community doesn't have to resort to theft to survive and helps keep them occupied, gives them focus, a reason to exist, at the very least some exercise. That said, some folks just don't want anything more to do with this world. But by and large, the majority of folks we do come across have an innate need to survive. Humans are always built way tougher than we appear. And for those folks that still want to make something out of their lives, the Foundation is giving them another chance. It's up to them if they want to crawl out of a predicament that was, more often than not, forced onto them by the old society.
Jose contemplated this as the three of them walked into the encampment. where a small group of individuals have gathered, awaiting their advancement. A society is often measured by its combined failures rather than its individual successes. Not being able to properly address a recurring issue will ultimately lead to an untimely demise. Of all the lessons that Satoshi taught, the hardest one of them all was perseverance, the ability to delay immediate gratification in exchange for a long-time horizon. Here, for better or worse, the once forgotten castaways of society are once again given a purpose if they so choose to fight for it. Only in the SegWit Zone.
Bitcoin for Humanity Foundation. It's time for a second chance. Please consider donating today. Scan the QR code for more information.